This morning, we're taking a deeper dive into a story we've been following about millions of Americans who may be exposed to radioactive contaminants in their drinking water. A report by the nonprofit Environmental Working Group, also known as EWG, found that water supplied by at least some utilities in all 50 states contained a known carcinogen called radium. Anna Werner is here now with a growing focus on water safety. Anna, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gail. Well, a glass of water may be harmless enough, but communities around the country are increasingly faced with a concerning reality. Contaminants are turning up in their drinking water, and getting them out may be a lot harder than you think.
In Brandon, South Dakota this week, concerns over water dealt with the frozen kind, a blizzard that dropped several inches of snow.
You want to read a book?
But resident Spencer Schenk and his wife Laura worry more about the liquid coming out of the tap, a public water supply that contains radium.
It's something that's really concerning to us, you know, a known cancer-causing agent in our water.
The radioactive substance can occur naturally, and it's been in the city's water for decades. And it's not uncommon across the country. An analysis by the nonprofit Environmental Working Group found 170 million people exposed to radium from drinking water in 22,000 utilities nationwide. Brandon's radium level does not exceed federal guidelines, but many health experts say there's no safe level of that carcinogen. To get that level down to zero would mean expensive modifications to the city's water treatment system. And City Administrator Brian Reed says residents would have to decide to foot that bill.
We are striving to get the lowest radium levels we can at a reasonable cost. You can probably get all the radium out of all the water if you're willing to spend enough money.
And radium is just one of hundreds of contaminants found in drinking water systems nationwide. Things like arsenic, cadmium, pesticides, and metals, including hexavalent chromium and lead. The approach to treating them can vary from city to city, state to state. In Newburgh, New York, the state is building a brand new water treatment plant to remove a toxic chemical known as PFOS from the water supply. The price tag? $50 million. The pollution came from a nearby Air National Guard base. Martin Brand is with the state's environmental division.
It's a very big deal. New York State is leading the nation, frankly. We're one of the first states in the nation to actually regulate these contaminants.
But not all cities can afford a major overhaul of their treatment systems. So what's a consumer to do if they want cleaner, safer water at home?
I think it can be really daunting for consumers to try to understand these issues with water. So we can do.
Rick Andrew works for NSF International, a group that tests and certifies products, including water filtration systems.
If I want to treat my water at home, how much is this going to cost me?
It's a great question, and there's really a wide range.
A simple filtering water pitcher could be $30. A whole house system, a couple $1,000s. And it's important to find out from your utility which contaminants are in your water and get the right system.
It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing when you start to get into water treatment. And so some technologies are good at one type of contaminant, but they're not very effective on others. So oftentimes people end up with a multi-stage system.
Sounds complicated.
Absolutely, it can be.
Back in Brandon, the city's decisions on treating that radium are likely to take a year or more.
This is the RO system that we put into our home.
But Spencer Schenk isn't waiting. He's installed 2 types of water treatment systems in his home to make sure his 2-year-old daughter and 3-month-old twins don't absorb carcinogens along with their H2O.
It's frustrating for us because we just want a clean, sustainable water source. That's all we're asking for.
Well, we checked our own water supply here in New York City. I plugged in my zip code and found 6 contaminants that were detected at levels either higher than the national average or higher than some health advisories. Now, EWG is one resource. You can go plug in your zip code there, simple check. You can also check your consumer confidence report, which lists what's in your water system, or you can call your local utility to find out what's in your water system. But I did find that in some previous places I've lived in, there was radium in those water systems, which means I was drinking it too.
Wow.
Now people are going to plug it in. Everybody's saying, "What's my zip code again?" See if my water is okay.
Can we tweet out the correct address if anybody wants to check what that is?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really eye-opening for a lot of people. A lot of us have done it, and we've all been surprised who've been working on these stories.
Thank you. And I appreciate that.